Okay, working class hustlers, the question is, should you go to war? You see, when you sell on Amazon, you're in a world. You're in the Amazon world. And you know, in the world, there's a time for peace and there's a time for war. So again, should you go to war? And I'm talking about going to war with your competitors on Amazon. So first and foremost, we need to define, for the purposes of this video, we need to define what is war. Now, let's be clear. Let's say you've got, say, 9 people, 10 people, 25 people on a listing, and you know what happens. One person lowers his by a penny, another person lowers his by a penny. Well, everybody sets their auto repricers to a low level, and automatically, before you know it, there's that race to the bottom. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about that race to the bottom where we all try to be satisfied and content making 25 cents on an item, and we try to kid ourselves into believing, oh, well, we're getting volume. No, you're not, guys. You're not getting volume unless you're selling 1,000 units of that product a month or not. If you're not selling at least 1,000, you ain't getting volume. If you don't understand that, you need to watch the video I did with Dylan from the Repricer Software, or check that out. But so that we're clear, we're not talking about the race to the bottom. So war, as I defined it on Amazon, is where there's you and one other person, or maybe there's you and like 2 other people. There's no one else on the listing. This happens. If you do this business long enough, it's going to happen. And if you've got experience, I need you guys to chime in, because this is a very touchy, a very sensitive topic. Okay. So when we talk about war, we're talking about it's between 2, maybe 3 people. It's very personal. The way it looks is this. You guys are clear. You're dug in and nobody's letting up. And that price just keeps going down, and it gets ridiculous because it gets to a point where nobody's making any money. So now that we've defined what war is, by my definition anyway, the question becomes, why would you go to war? Now, again, hustlers, this is a very sensitive topic. When you get emotional, forget about it. Once you get emotional, logic goes out of the window. So we need to try and keep you logical, but I understand at the moment that you're considering war, logic is out. It's all about emotion. So how do you get to that place? Why would you go to war? Well, I'm going to tell you, I fought wars. I just ended a war. Or it appears to be peaceful for now. So let me tell you a story of how it happened to me. Well, I found a product. I did the research. I brought it to the market. I created the listing from scratch. I had to deal with the fact that the actual UPC on the product, Amazon wouldn't accept it because someone else had used that UPC on something else. I went through all of the stuff, the description, the image, and all of this, the not knowing if it was really going to be a good product. And then it started selling. And then all of a sudden, my sales started going down. I'm like, what the heck? So I go out and look at the listing, and here's another guy. New guy on the listing. Now, mind you, we're going inside of my thinking at this point. I'm like, This is what my thought process was at that time. My thought process was, okay, not only did this guy just jump on my listing that I did all the creating on, not only does he do that, he doesn't say, well, let me share some of this with you, brother. It's a free country. No, he said, I'm coming in and I want everything. I want all the sales. So that was my Chris Rock moment. And he was Will Smith. He walked up on my stage and slapped me. Okay, guys. So basically, I got the Chris Rock slap. And I'm the type of guy, you slap me, I'm gonna slap you back. And that might not be the wisest thing as we're learning. So there's a lot to unpack here. But again, bear in mind, this is emotional. One of the reasons why you might end up going to war is because you've put all the sweat equity into a product to get it going. And then somebody not only jumps on your listing. Oh, no. Not only do they jump on the listing, they want all of the sales. So they actually have the nerve to undercut you. If they didn't undercut you, hey, we could share the buy box. And a lot of times there's enough to go around. Nope. They want everything. Now let's look at it from the other perspective, because we're just looking at it from my perspective. I did all this work. Who are you to walk up on my stage and slap me? Now let's go to the other guy's possible motivation for wanting to go to war, because we went to war. Why did he go to war? It's one word: greed. Greed. He saw a product that he could get. He saw the amount of, profit he could make, and he wanted it all. He didn't want to share. Now, I think there's a little bit of greed in all of us, so let's not pretend that we haven't experienced it. Okay, so we've just talked about 2 reasons why you would end up going to war. Now, we got to talk about, we got to really understand what the war entails, what it's all about, and how to win. So guys, this is the deal right here. War, whether it's on Amazon, whether it's out there in the world, it's all about logistics. So when you're really trying to wrap your head around understanding war, and you want to consider whether or not you could win, it's about logistics, your battles. So you got to understand, war is made up of different battles, but war is long fought. So you got to understand that if you're going to get into a war, and once, again, like I mentioned, once you get dug in and it's clear that your opponent is dug in, you guys ain't talking, but you're reacting to one another. You know what I mean? So you got to understand, it's all about logistics. So what I mean is, whatever this product is that you're warring about, how much of it do you have? Because if you ain't got the logistics, if you can't get your hands on enough of it to keep the war going consistently, what you're going to do is get involved in little short battles, but there's no overarching war for you to win. So if all you're going to do is get involved in little skirmishes and battles, that's not a war. If that's what you want to do, you're probably going to lose. But to consider getting into this, basically it boils down to you taking an account of what are your advantages. Okay, let's break that down. Okay, what are your advantages? For example, maybe it's a product that you have access to because of your location. This happens, and I love to talk about this because this is so important, especially for newbies. Guys, you're going to be a lot of times in a location where there's something that you can get because it's made right in your town, close to your city, whatever the case may be. You have access to this product, unlimited. That way you can afford to wage a war. Okay. And no matter what the reason is for you being able to have access, it's important. Supply is important because you must have plenty of resources. Okay. Another advantage you may have, you have the budget to suffer the casualties. See, in war, there are casualties. Well, that's just the ravages of war, that sort of thing. You got to know that going in. You're going to lose some. That's part of it. You're not going to fight a war and not suffer any casualties. Here's what the casualty is. Say you're selling a product Okay. This is a product that I sell. There's a product, and those are your soldiers, and you deploy them. Whether it's merchant fulfill, whether it's FBA, that every product, that's a soldier, okay? And every time you lose money, that's a casualty. So can you afford to take casualties over an extended period? Okay. If you can afford that, hey, let the war go on. But you have to ask yourself, is it going to be worth it? So that brings us to the final thing that we're going to talk about here. The original title was, should you go to war? You got to understand, guys, war, it's going to be a long, arduous task. So consider your personality. Do you have the will? Okay, to go to war, it's going to be taxing, and I'm gonna tell you your most valuable resource that the war is going to tax is, your mind, your thought process. If you're going to allow yourself to be consumed, because war is all consuming, all encompassing. If you don't have the personality for it, it's not going to be for you. Just keep it moving. There's millions of products out there. Okay. I've fought wars because I was built for it. I had it logistically. I was strategically set up. I had the financial resources. And for me, it was worth it looking down the line. In other words, you need to consider the worth, considering the cost benefit analysis that you put together. No one else can do that for you. You've got to put together your own analysis to see, is it worth it? And what I mean is, you have to think in terms of, okay, what is it going to cost me to wage this war? And once I win, what do I really get? Will I be able to make up for the losses that I took? And in the end, now I'm standing at the mountaintop. What am I really getting? Is the volume there? Because if it was just about getting somebody else off of the listing, sometimes it might not be worth it. In most cases, I don't recommend it. But again, most of the time when you go to war, it's going to be something personal in there. And you just have to understand, once it becomes personal, all rationale goes out the door. If you've decided you're going to go to war, I can tell you how to do it. So I have a lecture on that, and you can find that down in the description. Guys, I will see you in the next video.